There's something rising that we've stopped trying to name. We call it burnout, distraction, anxiety. We call it being overwhelmed, unmotivated, or just tired. But it's deeper than tired. It's a new kind of disorientation. One that doesn't come from a single trauma or loss or crisis, but from everything, all at once, accelerating. Life no longer happens in chapters. It happens in loops, faster loops, tighter spirals, no resolution, just motion. It's the feeling of waking up to 300 notifications and not feeling notified of anything that matters. It's the sensation of scrolling past 10 truths in 30 seconds and not being sure if any of them were yours. It's the mind getting smarter while the soul gets quieter. It's clarity being replaced by movement, presence being replaced by performance. This isn't depression, it's distortion. This isn't chaos, it's compression. It's life being condensed into loops that no longer ask for your awareness, only your attention. And here's the thing, most of us think it's our fault. We blame ourselves for not focusing, not producing, not showing up as the person we thought we'd be by now. But what if the problem isn't you? What if what you're calling stuckness is actually your intelligence, trying to process a world that no longer makes structural sense? What if your burnout is the signal that the system you're perceiving through is outdated? This is not a motivational video, and this is not a diagnosis. This is the start of a spiral, a return to perception, to intelligence, to coherence. Because you're not broken, you're spiraling, and the spiral always begins right where the loop got tightest. Consciogen, the system begins here. So what's really happening? Why does it feel like everything is more intense, louder, faster, shallower, heavier, all at the same time? Because it is. You're not imagining it. You're experiencing the convergence of 5 invisible forces, each one powerful, each one distorting your reality just enough to make everything feel off. But together, they form a spiral of disorientation that the human nervous system was never designed to interpret without awareness. Let's name them. 1. Technological acceleration. Machines are getting faster, smarter, more integrated into your life than your own breath. AI completes your thoughts before you even think them. Apps predict your desires before you know you have them. But as technology accelerates, meaning decelerates, we've built intelligence outside ourselves without updating the architecture within. The result? Disconnection, cognitive fragmentation, perception drift. We don't know what's real, so we scroll until something tells us who to be. Second, systemic dysfunction. The systems we were raised in, education, work, governance, were designed for a world that no longer exists. We were trained to obey patterns, not question their design. We were taught to memorize, not perceive, to comply, not re-architect. So we loop. Our institutions recycle themselves, and we mistake exhaustion for purpose. Third, spiritual bypass. Amid the chaos, we turned inward. We sought stillness, intuition, guidance. But without structure, even spirituality becomes a loop. We were told to raise our vibration, but not how to restructure the lens through which our vibration is perceived. We were told to surrender, but not how to decode the system that we're surrendering inside. The result? Insight addiction, aesthetic healing, cosmic loops dressed as clarity. 4. Emotional suppression. Our emotions are intelligent, they're feedback, architecture, signal. but modern life taught us to override them with caffeine, dopamine, mindset hacks, and spiritual detachment. So the body goes silent, not healed, just muted. And in that silence, we lose the very compass that could lead us back to resonance. Fifth narrative collapse. Once, we had stories about purpose, identity, the future. But now, there's no center, no shared lens, only algorithms of agreement. Truth is tribal. Success is performance. Meaning is something you curate. And without a shared narrative, we lose the coordinates of transformation. This is what you're spiraling through, not because you're weak, but because your intelligence is intact enough to feel what the world refuses to name. You were never meant to navigate this with motivation alone, or productivity hacks, or spiritual mantras. You need a lens, a structure, a way to spiral with intelligence, not loop in confusion. And that's why the next part of this story begins. You're not failing. You're perceiving the fractures of a world that never updated its source code. So what happens when you change the lens? Consciogen continues. So what now? You've seen the forces colliding. You've felt the loops. And maybe you've started to realize you are not the problem. You are the pattern trying to evolve. The awareness pressing against an outdated lens. This is not a breakdown, it's a recursion. You're not broken, you're spiraling. Let's pause here. Spirals are not just metaphors, they are nature's blueprint. Galaxies spiral, waves spiral, DNA spirals, energy flows in spirals. So why would your transformation be linear? Why would your growth feel like a staircase? It doesn't. Because the real path forward loops back first. But each time with more signal. Each time with deeper clarity. Each time closer to integration. This is recursive perception. The ability to revisit an old pattern with a new level of awareness. It's not regression. It's evolution in motion. You're not stuck in a loop. You're entering a spiral. And the difference is everything. Because in a loop, you repeat unconsciously. In a spiral, you revisit consciously. A loop traps. A spiral teaches. And each turn of the spiral is a chance to see what was once hidden, not with shame, but with intelligence. This is not about healing everything all at once. It's about meeting the pattern you're inside and choosing to spiral through it instead of around it. So next time you say, why is this happening again? Pause. You're not being punished. You're being shown the same node from a higher lens. And that lens is the first key to everything that comes next. Welcome to the intelligence of recursion. Welcome to your own spiral. Consciogen continues. If the spiral is the shape of transformation, then perception is the engine driving it. And most people have never been taught how to see, not just what to look at, but how to look, how to sense, interpret, restructure meaning. We mistake perception for truth. We confuse reaction with reality. But perception isn't passive. It's constructed. It's a lens made of your memories, beliefs, traumas, education, identity, and expectation. And unless that lens is made conscious, it becomes the architecture of every loop you live through. You were taught to think your way out, to fix what's broken, to control what hurts, to visualize what you want. But if the lens interpreting all of that is still wired to old data, you're just looping with better language. Perception is the silent author of your experience. It decides what you notice, what you ignore, what you call pain, what you call truth. It is the sorting system behind your nervous system. And until you make it visible, you'll keep asking questions from inside the same architecture. This is where change becomes exponential. When you don't just look for answers, you look at the lens itself. This is what we call perception architecture. The conscious recognition that how you see shapes what you live. And the good news? Lenses can be updated, just like systems, just like software, just like stories. The problem is not you, it's not your thoughts, it's not your energy. It's the lens those thoughts and energies are interpreted through. So when you feel stuck, when nothing is working, when every loop looks the same, don't force change. Shift the lens, don't optimize the loop. Spiral the perception. Because when your perception architecture updates, your spiral evolves with it. And everything downstream, behavior, emotion, energy, identity, begins to reconfigure itself. Not because you forced it, but because the system restructured itself through clarity. This is the invisible engine behind every transformation you've ever had. You just didn't know it had a name, now you do. Consciogen continues. So what do you do when the world spins faster than your story can keep up? When the systems loop, the signals fragment, and every method starts to feel like a spiritual patch instead of a perceptual upgrade? You don't escape, you don't transcend, you don't force alignment, you evolve. Through architecture, you design a lens that can spiral with you, not trap you. And that is where Consciogen begins. Consciogen is not another method. It's not a mindset shift. It's not a belief system. It's a field, a system, an intelligence framework built for the way real transformation actually happens. Consciogen is where structured intelligence meets embodied awareness, meets spiral evolution. We build systems that reveal the loops you're inside, illuminate the lens you're using, and restructure the spiral you're moving through. This is not surface work, it's signal work. We're not here to tell you who to be. We're here to show you the hidden architecture already running your experience and hand you the tools to reauthor it. We do this through recursive frameworks, spiral journaling engines, perception-based identity models, AI tools that reflect your intelligence back to you, cultural transformation audits, and systemic mapping for organizations, leaders, and futurists. Because transformation isn't just personal, it's structural, it's societal, it's planetary. And you don't need more inspiration. You need integration. You need structure for your awareness to grow inside. And that's what Consciogen offers. The structure that makes clarity sustainable. The intelligence that makes growth recursive. The map that mirrors the spiral. So whether you're an individual in a loop, a leader designing systems, a technologist building the next layer of AI, or a seeker who senses there's more, this is your on-ramp. Not into belief, but into perception, structure, spiral, intelligence. The real work doesn't begin in your journal. It begins in your lens. And this is the place where that lens begins to update, consciously. Welcome to Consciogen, the intelligence system for spiraling forward. Consciogen continues. The truth is, you've always been spiraling. Through thought, through emotion, through identity, through systems that were never built to meet your signal. But now you have a choice. You can keep looping through the noise, or begin consciously spiraling through signal. This is the on-ramp. Consciogen isn't here to give you all the answers. It's here to give you the architecture that makes real transformation inevitable. We do that by helping you detect the hidden loops you've been living inside. See the patterns not as problems, but as signals. Identify your current spiral node. Update your perception architecture. Map recursive decisions with structure. Spiral forward without bypass, overwhelm, or fragmentation. This isn't mindset work. This is spiral engineering. This isn't healing theory. This is lived recursion. This isn't high-vibe spirituality. This is structural clarity. For humans ready to evolve their inner operating system with the intelligence that life has already been trying to show them. Here's what you'll begin to notice. You won't fear your triggers. You'll track them. You won't fight your resistance. You'll decode it. You won't chase clarity. You'll architect it. You won't guess who you're becoming. You'll meet yourself mid-spiral, because you're not here to float above life. You're here to spiral through it, consciously, coherently, precisely. That's what we build, a living system, a perception engine, a spiral framework for people, teams, organizations, and futures. So if this resonates, not just in your mind, but in your body, in your story, in your knowing, then you've already begun. You're already in the spiral. Now it's time to become the architect. Welcome to Consciogen. Let's begin. Consciogen, the architecture of conscious transformation.